Dracula killed every man, woman, and child except a few hundreds in Wallachia to avenge his wife. By accident, they found the sleeping soldier who, as the myth says, is gonna face Dracula and kill him to save the rest of mankind. And as the myth says, a hunter and a scholar will join the sleeping soldier in his journey to defeat his father. So, are they gonna succeed, or will Dracula kill all of mankind? This is a full recap of Season 1 from Castlevania, and before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. The story begins in 1455 in Wallachia, with a woman named Lisa crossing a field full of skulls and crows. She knocks on the castle door, and she meets Dracula. She came here to learn about anything she can, because she wants to be a scientist and a doctor. Dracula refused at first, but liked her spirit, and agreed to give her his knowledge. After 20 years, we see Lisa tied to a stick. She was accused of being a witch, and by the order of the bishop, she got burned to death. Meanwhile, we see Dracula returning to his wife's house, and he knew about what happened to Lisa from one of her patients. He cries with blood because he really loved his wife, and to him, she was the last hope for mankind, and gone with her. He decided to take his revenge from those filthy creatures named humans. In the burning site over his wife's dead body, he appeared as a burning flames and told the people they got 1 year to make their peace and remove every sin they did in this land, or he will kill every human in the land of Wallachia. In his castle, he intends to spend that year in gathering his army, and that's when his son entered the room and tried to change his mind. And if he didn't, he would stand against him. He will grieve with him, but he won't let the genocide on mankind happen, so his father killed him. After 1 year, people ignored the warning, and they gathered to celebrate the burning of Lisa. The sun disappeared, and the sky started to rain blood, and a strange building appeared from the ground, and the army of Dracula got out of that building and started to destroy everything in their way. In a bar, we see some folks talking about the conflicts between the families and how it affected them, and in the corner there's a drunken stranger listening, and he was trying to hide his face. When he tried to order another drink, those folks recognized him as one from the Belmonts. This family was the only one that can kill vampires and supernatural creatures, and that man named Trevor was the last one because his whole family was killed by the order of the church because they were practicing black magic. Those folks attacked him, and after he went off, he went and continued his travels. He visits Gretchen in search of breakfast. Inside, he finds piles of bodies and townsfolk cleaning up blood, and some of them using guts as ropes. When he speaks to the locals, he learns that they are under siege from Dracula's monsters who visit them nightly. Trevor came across 2 of the bishop's men harassing an elderly speaker. Trevor tells himself to keep walking, but when the men move to attack the speaker, Trevor can't hold back, so he whips one of the men's hands, disarming him of his weapon and one of his fingers. When the men still do not retreat, Trevor throws his whip again, and the other man loses an eye, and they finally leave. Trevor accompanies the elders to his lodging and meets the rest of the speakers. There, Trevor learns that although the townsfolk blame the speakers for Dracula's wrath, it's truly the church's fault for burning Dracula's wife. They tell him about the sleeping soldier's myth, and the soldiers will get rid of Dracula's army and can kill him to stop his rage over mankind. The elder reveals that one of them went looking for the sleeping soldier in the catacombs and has not returned, and the speakers will continue searching for him, and he asked him for his help, but Trevor refused. A younger member of the tribe shouts that the missing member is the elder's grandchild, and they can't even bury him, and it's not their way to just leave their dead unburied. Trevor offers to recover the elder's grandchild's body so the speakers can leave when he finds his grandchild. In the catacombs, Trevor finds a statue of a figure, then he's interrupted by a cyclops who can turn people into stones by his eyes. Using the statues as a stepping stone, along with his blade and whip, Trevor killed the beast. Suddenly, the statue turns back into a living girl, and she's the elder's granddaughter. When Trevor explains he's here to retrieve her, so the speakers leave for safety. She insists they find the sleeping soldier first, but Trevor insists there's no sleeping soldier and points out that the elder thinks she's dead, and the least she can do is return to him to put his mind at ease. He adds, "Let's show you to your grandfather, and then you can come down here and get killed again." Then she introduces herself as Sypha. At their lodging, the elder thanks Trevor for returning his granddaughter, and she apologizes for not finding the soldier when Trevor again insists it's just a booby-trapped legend. He explains that in the catacombs, there's torches that light by themselves and other stuff, and these exactly fit descriptions written by his great-grandfather's descriptions of the inside of Dracula's castle. The elder offered him to stay with them as long as he likes, so he promises to come back later. Trevor came across men of the church and forced him to see the bishop, who offers him a deal to leave town and we won't kill you despite the crimes you've committed against the bishop's aides, and despite the crimes his family has committed against God. Trevor told him his family committed no crime, but the bishop disagreed because they never understood the power of God, and by morning, he either leaves alive or dies with the speakers. Trevor returns to the speakers and informs them the bishop is beyond insane, and if the speakers don't leave by sundown, they will all be killed. They refuse to leave, and the elder asks if he'll continue to run just because the church and society have cast his family aside, and he explains that they are fighting a bigger war for the soul of people. Sypha stands beside her grandfather and told Trevor he should leave now, but he refused. After the sunset, people from the town and the church went to the speakers to kill them, but they find only Trevor. They asked him about the speakers, and when he refused to tell, they bring up their weapons, but Trevor started to kill them all, while Dracula's army flying in the sky. At the church, the bishop is visited by demons. With shaking hands, he professes that God loves him, but the monsters correct him that it is the bishop's fault they are here. God doesn't love him, but the bishop pleads she was a witch. The demon mocks at his lies, but they comfort him that they love him because they couldn't be here without him. The demon's large hand wrap around the bishop, and finally, they eat him alive. Cornered by the angry villagers, Trevor is rescued by a wall of flame around him. When he looks up, he sees Sypha as his rescue, so he shouts to her, "You never told me you were a magician," but he never asked. Trevor then notices the knife-wielding priest. He stopped from attacking the elder that morning. Trevor shouts the truth and tells the people that the speakers are in Gretchen to help them, and it's the church's fault the demons have come. The villagers quickly believe him and turn against the bishop's man, and they executed him. Then Dracula's horde arrives. Belmont instructs the villagers to lead them in the battle against the demons. He finds a priest to create holy water, and those with spikes or long weapons move to the front line, and all swords are wiped in salt, and Sypha creates walls of ice to force the demons to attack in a straight line towards them. Following Belmont's orders, the villagers manage to defeat the demons, but after the battle, the ground crumbled under Trevor and Sypha. They fall deeper into the catacombs they visited earlier, and by making their way through, they find a decorated tomb. Trevor's foot lands on a hidden switch, which causes the coffin to slowly open. A man with long blonde hair floats out of the coffin, and he asked, "Why are you here?" Sypha explains the story of the sleeping soldier and Dracula's army seeking to commit genocide on humanity, but the man remained focused on Belmont, asking if that's what he believes, and he means the story of the sleeping soldier. But Trevor says no, "'cause I know what you are." Sypha was shocked at the realization that the man floating before them is a vampire. The vampire asks Trevor if he cares about what Dracula is doing, but Trevor didn't really care. But it's time to stop Dracula. Then the vampire asks if Trevor thinks he can stop it, but the only thing Trevor knows is he has to kill that vampire. They start to fight till they reach the draw, then Sypha appears behind the vampire threatening to incinerate him before the two men can kill each other. So he's realized she's a magician. He healed his wounds and stands up. Then he introduces himself as Adrian, known to the Wallachians as Alucard, son of Dracula, and he's been asleep under Gretchen for a year to heal the wounds caused by his father when he attempted to stop him. Alucard continues with the rest of the sleeping soldier's story and said that the sleeping soldier will be met by a hunter and a scholar. And after that, Alucard dresses up, grabs his sword, and said, "I need a hunter and a scholar, and I need to save Wallachia and defeat my father." Belmont asks why, and Alucard responds, "Because it's what my mother would have wanted." The three of them leave on their journey to defeat and stop Dracula. And that's when the first season ends. So, if you liked the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Thanks for watching, see you soon, and goodbye.